Welcome to Slinging Shots with Philip. I want to come today with something a little different. I've been primarily focusing my content on preparing for a tournament that's coming up, but I want to take a step back to the beginning. I want to make some basic videos to help you get started in the slingshot hobby if that's something that's interesting to you. So, we're going to do things a little different. This is going to be 4 or 5 videos in a series. We'll make a playlist so you can watch them back to back. They'll be easy to find. Before we get rolling, down there, remember to subscribe, comment, like the video. Let's help the algorithms from the YouTubes to boost this content and help my channel out a little bit. I've been enjoying getting back into the YouTube game. And for those from my RC world, I got your shirt on just to say I'm still representing build, fly, crash, repeat. That's kind of our motto in the RC world. Back to the slingshots. The response I've gotten from many of the sling community has been really positive with the videos I've released. So I did ask somebody that I respect in the community. I've been thinking, should I make some basic training videos? There are a dime a dozen out there. There's plenty of people that have made lots of good training videos. And he said, always more content is better. And I got to thinking about it. It's like, I watch this guy and this person and this person and that person, and I got a tip from here, I got a tip from here, I got a tip from here. Maybe I can roll all of that into one video of what helped me. And my voice may resonate better than someone else's, not to discredit any of their voices, because that's what taught me. And I still refer people to those folks for training. But this is my journey, how it started and what I learned along the way. I hope it helps you out. So how did I get started? Well, I've told you in other videos that I'm recording in my church basement because my home area is not conducive to making videos. And we actually, you can see it in the background, we have an archery range in the basement of our church, and we have an archery club that meets here once a week. I've learned that many of the concepts and principles of archery translate right over to slingshots. So it was a natural journey to me. The way I got interested is we have a boys ministry that I'm involved in called Royal Rangers. And one of our merits was a hobby merit about a year and a half ago. And for the hobby merit, our commander picked slingshots. That's an unusual hobby. He wanted something easy, something that didn't cost a lot to get the materials for the kids. So he went out and bought some cheap slingshots from that big box store that's blue with the yellow sunburst logo. You know which one I'm talking about. He went and bought a bunch of those and some clay pellets, and the kids were shooting, and it was okay. They get an occasional hit. I picked one up and I tried it, and it's like when I was a kid, I always enjoyed it, but I was never any good at it. And it kind of lit a fire that there's got to be something more. So I said, let's explore this a bit more. So come springtime, my yard is overrun with little varmint pests, and I wanted to control them. So I decided slingshots might be a good way to do that. Sorry for you animal lovers, but they tear your cars up. They eat your wires. They get in your house. They make damage, and I wanted to get rid of them. So I got into slingshots. First, this is the one from the big box store. It's wood. It's not a terrible design. It's kind of comfortable. The bands, though, are these tubes with this huge pouch that's like weighs almost as much as the slingshot. We'll get into some of that later, why this isn't the greatest setup, but I've seen others reband this or retube this and actually have some success with it. So it's not terrible. It's like under $10, so you can't really go wrong. But eventually I would scrap this real quick. I just tried doing a couple shots on this, and yeah, it sends the ammo down range, but the pull on this thing, man, it was more than archery. It must have been 20, 25 pounds. Way too much pull for not a lot of speed that you're getting with it. But it's a way to go for the very, very entry level to let you get a taste of it. But I wouldn't recommend this as my first slingshot. So after I did some research, I started learning, reading, and watching videos on some of the techniques. Then I said, let's go to that big online place that everybody buys stuff from, and you see their trucks driving around. And let's see what they have to offer. And you get on there, and you got all these metal slingshots that look really cool and high tech. It's like, ooh, I want that one. Ooh, I want that one. Ooh, I want that one. But I was cheap, so I bought the cheapest one that looked cool. And this is what I ended up with. This one came with little inserts that slide in here that you can tighten down, and they've got little laser fiber optic sights, and you can put all kind of different sights and junk on it. But I got to thinking, if you shoot with those and that band goes through, it's going to bounce back and it's going to get cut on them sharp edges. So I took all that off. I did a little tiny paracord wrap to make it more comfortable for when I was holding it. And this one got me started. I literally was shooting pretty good with this one. I was learning some basics, and it's not terrible. I think you can get this for under $15-20. It's not a terrible piece of equipment. Every now and then I pull it out for giggles and just to shoot it. But if I start teaching some kids in groups, this one's going to come out with some really lightweight bands on it to shoot BBs or airsoft pellets or something like that. And it's going to be good for that. So I'm not giving it up, but it sits in the bottom of my bag most of the time. So for Christmas that year, which was only like a month and a half later, I make a Christmas list out. Everybody said, go to Simple Shot. Simple Shot, here's your promo right here. Thank you for all you do for this hobby in this community. And so I went on there and started doing some scouting and some, pardon, if you know Simple Shot, you know what I just did there. Anyway, I went online and started looking for some slingshots, and I had 3 slingshots and a whole bunch of accessories on my Christmas list. My wife's response was, you need 3? And I said, yeah, because I don't know what's going to work. I got to try the different ones and see which one I like. So that Christmas, I got 3 slingshots. The main one that I settled on is this one. It's the Scout LT2. I made my own safety harness out of paracord, and did an all right job. I'm not thrilled with it. This was my go-to slingshot for a long time. This is what I settled on. And I love this thing. It's got nice grip to it. It's got easy way to mount your bands, which we will get into later. I don't know if you can see them. It's got fiber optic sights. Yeah, you can see them there. And it all does help. And I was shooting really good with this, and I would have no problems competing with this or making this my go-to sling. But there was another slingshot on Simple Shot that just had my eye, because I'm an older guy in my 60s, but I'm a little bit nerdy and I like technology and cool. So I ordered this little baby. It's the Axiom X. I would not recommend this as your first slingshot, maybe your third or fourth, because it's got more advanced features. It's got adjustable pieces. You can see springs. You can adjust the width of your forks, which you will learn eventually matters to how you shoot and where your anchors are. It's got ability here to adjust where your grip is so it sits right in your hand. I love this thing. As you can see, I've had a few frame hits with it, but this is my everyday go-to. I'm going to be at that tournament here coming up in a couple of months. This is my main sling. So this was my investment. This one was a little more expensive. This one starts at like $40, $45, under 50. Not terrible. And it comes with bands and some practice ammo and stuff. This one was up in that $120 range. But I liked it so much, I saw somebody have one for sale online, and I jumped on it, and I got a second one in black. It's my backup. I have them both set up identical, strung with the same bands. When the band on this breaks, I just grab my other one and go, and I never have to stop. Another style of slingshot are what they call natties. Handmade out of wood from a tree. I found a limb in my yard that said, oh, that looks like it would work. So I set about to stripping it, sanding it. You can't really see it. I put some notches on here for my hands for the grip. I strung on some bands and went to try and shoot it. And it shoots okay, except the forks are too long because it just wants to yank it out of your hand. So you have to grip it way up here to shoot it, but it shoots okay. Shoots good. A lot of people swear by their natties. There's people that make these almost daily, and they're their main shooters. They shoot great. Once you learn the physics, which we will get into, and the science behind slingshot shooting, the natties will shoot as good as the fancy aluminum slingshots, or as good as the standard bearer that everybody loves and swears by. These will shoot great. If you like that natural wood look and you're a woodworker, go to town, because you can shoot competitively as good as anyone else. I didn't do a good job. I need to knock about that much off the fork and redo it, and it'll probably be okay. Now, when you say slingshots somebody on the street to a family member when you're bragging about your new hobby and they look at you like, are you Dennis the Menace or something? The first thing they think of for a good slingshot, it's this thing, the wrist rocket. Everybody swears by the wrist rocket. Well, the wrist rockets aren't terrible. They will shoot, but they come with these big old fat elastic latex bands that are nearly impossible to pull back. And they're hard to use. What I've done is I've restrung it with regular bands, and this thing shoots more like a regular slingshot now. But it's a quick story. One gentleman I was teaching, a friend of mine, he kept swearing by his wrist rocket. I got him into one of these Scout LT2s from Simple Shot, and he loved it, but he wanted to bring his wrist rocket out. So he put new bands on it, and he comes out one day, we're in his backyard, and we shot at a target that wasn't even 10 yards away. And the Simple Shot didn't even get the ammo to the target, but we were ripping targets with this thing. From then on, he's never mentioned this thing again. They are okay slingshots. You can just have to put good bands on them. And the next one I want to show you, this is called a PFS, or a pickle fork shooter. And you're noticing, well, there's no gap for your ammo to go through. You are right. There's a special technique to this. I got this for Christmas this year. It's very inexpensive on Simple Shot. It's a good basic one to get started. I think it's like $15, $20. And it's like, I see a lot of guys shooting that. I want to try and figure that out. Well, I tried to figure it out, and after a couple of hits on my thumb, and it's still sore to this day, a couple hits on my thumb, I said, I'm going to put that down for a while. I'm preparing for a tournament. I want to put my time and effort into getting proficient so I don't look like an idiot at the tournament. So I've put it down, but there's going to be a gentleman at the tournament. I'm calling you out, Hickson, Oklahoma. Hickson, okay. He's a really good PFS shooter, and I've asked him online, can you give me a couple of tips? And he said yes. So I will get this banded up once I get to that tournament, and I'm hoping to learn a little bit about it and to do better with it. A couple of other style of frames which I don't have because they are not my interest in my lane, but you can also do frameless. And you're going, there's nothing to hold in. What people do is they generally use little, very thin tubes like the ones on here, or thinner, and they put a pouch on them and a ring on the other end, and they actually use their hand as the frame. Yeah, you couldn't pay me to try that. There's not a way I'm going to try that. They make a special glove you put on your hand. It's kind of padded right here, just in case. Now, I don't get many fork hits, but that does not appeal to me. But the cool thing about them is when you're not using it, you just wrap it around your wrist like a bracelet, and you can carry it on a plane. You can carry it anywhere you want. Nobody knows you have a weapon with you. So a lot of people just wear them as bracelets, and then they're out and about and they're killing some time. Oh, I don't know. Pop off a couple of shots and have a good time. Not going to happen for me. Another option, and I may have to pick one of these up because Simple Shot has it set up, is they make slingshots that have a fitting that goes in the middle and a special band set, and you shoot arrows with it, just like in archery. And since we do archery here with the club, and I'm an instructor here, I may have to invest in one of those and see how I can shoot against the kids in their competition ranges with a slingshot, shooting bows and arrows. It sounds kind of fun. I may have to go there. All right, that's enough about the different kind of slings. There's other ones out there I may not have touched on. If I didn't, I'm sorry. But these are the main things you will see in the hobby. Now let's talk about bands. I've mentioned them a couple of times. First, I want to talk about how the bands mount to the slingshot. These are the tubes. Usually the tube goes through the hole and there's a bearing or something. This one has a hard piece of plastic that holds the tube in place. Usually there's a big metal ball that goes in the tube that create the friction, and it's bigger than the hole that the tube goes through, and that holds it in place. Works great. I don't shoot tubes. I like my bands. I may experiment with some if somebody gives me a chance when I'm at the tournament here coming up in a month or two, but I'm all on the bandwagon. But the tubes work great, but I'm not going to be shooting those. Another way that the bands mount is they call this OTT, over the tops. See how the bands go over the top of the slingshot when you shoot? That is probably the most common way. I would say 60 to 70% of the people shoot this way. This is how I shoot. But they also make slingshots that they call through the fork. And what that means is the bands come from the outside and then come around this way. So you're shooting through the fork. I could put bands on this one with these clips and make it a through the fork slingshot. A lot of folks swear by that. That's the only way they shoot. I've kind of gotten stuck on the over the top method. I got a slingshot for Christmas that time when I got 3 of them, just so I could try through the fork. And I tried it, and it just wasn't my style. The reason I didn't like it was over the top, this is your aiming point. When you're shooting through the forks, you have to line it up on the middle of the frame, which means you cover your target completely up. And I didn't like that. So I shoot strictly over the top. That's my style. Again, pick your weapon, do it the way you want to do it. It doesn't matter as long as you get out there and you sling some ammo downrange and you plunk some cans and have a good time with it. The other thing that I like about this slingshot is the clips. You see some like this where you have to tie them on, which I will kind of maybe dive into a little later. But these have clips. You just undo the screw here, they snap up, you slide them in, you put them back on, you're ready to shoot in like 3 or 4 minutes. Tying the wraps on like this, you have to lay them down, you do some wraps, then you fold it over and you do some wraps, and it takes a little bit longer. A slingshot with wraps is not your number one. You don't want to start out with a slingshot that has wraps on it, probably, because it's a little bit more advanced. I would make that my second or third slingshot. But it is just as viable, and a lot of the custom-made slingshots you see around will be wraps. And so learn to do it. Get a sling that uses wraps. You won't be sorry, because it just opens up the world of what you can sling. The tubes I use, I like the flat bands. Like I said, the tubes are very popular on your wrist rockets. Also, other place the tubes are popular is at the tournaments. They have something called speed shooting. And when you shoot a regular band slingshot, after you go to get your band, sometimes it's twisted up and you have to straighten it out. Well, the good thing about tubes is when you let go, it always comes back ready to shoot. Boom, boom. So people can just take a slingshot with narrow tubes on it, thin tubes, and they can load while they're pulling back. I haven't figured that out yet. Still, maybe I'll learn it at tournament. But speed shooting will not be my strength. But the tubes are great for that. They make thinner tubes. They make some that have tapers on them. They come in different sizes. So don't let that stop you. Some people swear by the tubes, and that's all that they shoot. The flat bands are what I prefer. Okay? The flat bands come in various thicknesses. These are 0.45. Which is 0.45 millimeters. That's really skinny. These, I believe this is a 0.5 millimeter. It's from Simple Shot. It's their standard black latex. I believe this was a band I got from that big online retailer, but when I was just starting out and didn't know how to make them yet, I believe these are 0.8 millimeter. They come in various widths. The width can affect the pull weight. The width can affect the speed down range, but the width of the band, the thickness of the band, I'm sorry, not the width, the thickness of the band does not solely determine the speed down range that you're going to get. Okay, flat bands, they're what I prefer. They are really popular. Most shooters shoot them, but they're not as durable. They may not last as many shots. So once you get into the hobby, you'll be making your own bands or buying them pre-made. Just have a pile of them and you just pop new bands on. No big deal. They come in various thicknesses. These are 0.45. That's my current one that I'm using. And I like these. The draw weight is really low. I've got some other science built in there that makes them better. These are, I believe this is a 0.5. Yeah, it's 0.5. I have some 0.7 at home from the Simple Shot band. This is a Simple Shot band. I have some 0.7, and then that'd be really good for hunting, but I don't hunt. So these work really well. Simple Shot is a good source for latex. I believe these are 0.8s. I got them from that giant online retailer before I learned to make my own bands. And so I just got these to try out, and they work okay, but they just don't have the zip that some of the newer technology latex that are made specially for slingshots have. So they come in the various thicknesses, and that affects your draw weight. It can affect your power, but I want to warn you. Whoop, 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 whoop. We got science coming up. Science incoming. So if you're not a nerd, it might fly right over your head, but science is incoming. With flat bands, we use tapers. If you notice on this one, it's really thick right here. It's 20 millimeters right here. But down here, you can see it's thinner. See how it got skinnier? What that does is it reduces the friction internally in the latex as it's coming back and propels downstream. I saw a YouTuber that had a chronograph to measure the shot speed. They had, I don't know what the bandwidth was, I can't remember, but they were shooting a 2012 taper, which is what I've got right here. It's 20 millimeters here, it's 12 millimeters back here. And he got, I think it was 250 feet per second. Pretty quick. He shot the same bands, same slingshot, same length on a 2010 taper, just 2 millimeters skinnier at the pouch end. And he got like 6 or 7 more feet per second out of that band by having a skinnier taper. Problem is that skinnier taper, you're going to break the band quicker. So you're going to go through more bands and have to make more bands. But the taper is where the power is at. These are 2012. I don't know what speed I'm getting, but these are perfect right now for shooting target ranges at 10 to 15 yards. They work really well. So that's what I'm using. But there is a lot of science and a lot of physics that you will learn in slingshot shooting. So get ready for the ride. The draw length. How far do you pull it back? Got to warn you. Incoming math content. If you don't like math, you're going to have to learn it anyway. How far do you pull back? How do you know how long to make a band? Well, what you do is you take one of your bands and you put a mark on it, and then you put another mark like ½ inch or an inch down, and you pull it as far as you can and see how far that line moves down. If I put a mark on there that's 1 inch apart and I pull it out 6 inches for that 1 inch, then I have a 6-to-1 ratio. Most bands are in that 5 to 6 range. I believe these are in that 6 to 6.5 range. Then what you do is you take a tape measure and you measure from your shooting hand to where you're going to hold your ammo. You figure out how long that is. Mine is 28 inches. So I take my 28 inches, I divide it by the 6 inches, 28 inches, round it up to 30. Divide that by 6-to-1 ratio, and my band length should be about 4 3/4 to 5 inches long if I use my 28 inches. So I kind of take 5 inches as my benchmark, and I add a little bit to it because if you're shooting at the exact right draw length, it's going to be a little bit harder to pull, and you're going to wear your bands out in like 150 shots. You're going to go through them like water. So I make them a little longer to get some durability because it'll sling my ammo downrange at the targets just fine, and I'm not constantly swapping bands out. So I make mine about 6.5, 7 inch long, something like that, just to get a little extra durability, and I still have plenty of fun. Not going to go into too much more on this video. We've already gone way longer than I thought I would. Man, I talk a lot. The next video, I'm going to talk about the different ways to grip the slingshot and how to hold and aim the slingshot. Those will be your next steps in learning. So remember to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time on Slinging Shots. Get out there and keep slinging.